Hello and welcome to the Cat's Meow. My name is Baxter, and today I'll be interviewing another industry leader. This is Brunger with me today. And Karen is a trainer of image consultants. Karen's systems and products are currently used in more than 80 countries, over 5 continents, over 3.5 decades. Karen has facilitated the transformation of thousands through her holistic approach. Additionally, Karen Brunger, the president and creator and owner of International Image Institute, has also co-authored numerous books and has had over 200 media interviews. Welcome, Karen. How are you today?
Great, thank you.
Oh, wonderful. How and why did you choose this field, Karen? You're so passionate about it. You've excelled so far. What was it about it that you were drawn to?
I never chose this field, I would say. And really, when I started, it didn't exist, at least not consciously. So how I got into it is really by just never saying no. So if somebody asked me to do something, I said, okay. And then I figured out how to do it and I did it. So of course, the beginning, it was like through university, doing people's makeup. I was asked to do people's makeup. So, okay, so I did. And then when I moved to Toronto, again, I was doing makeup for fashion shows and weddings and so on. And I thought, well, maybe I should take training to be a makeup artist. And then well, I got a job in Toronto, and then the vice presidents were stopping by my desk asking me what I thought of what they were wearing, or where they should go shopping, or how should they do their hair. So I just share. And then it was I can't remember which came first, but I think I actually had a psychic party, and the psychic said, because I was really into doing social work at the time. I coordinated a self-help group for inmates in one of the jails, and I was a probation officer. And he said, no, get out of that work. You belong in fashion. He said, it's something to do with, he saw me doing something that combines social work or that type of thing, like psychology, with fashion. And then when I told everybody that, they said, well, Karen, of course, don't you know yourself? Can't you see that you belong in something like that, that you're not strictly you're not meant to be just a probation, to only do the social work type stuff. And so then I found out that I always knew, growing up, that there was a system. There had to be a scientific system to figure out what colors suited people, because I could see that some colors did some things for some people and nothing. It was very individual, and I thought there must be a system. Right. And of course, growing up, I was, as I mentioned, I was always doing this type of work anyway. When I played with dolls as a kid, I would actually design their wardrobe modules. That's how I dressed them or played with them. And then every time my mom left the house, I cleaned out her closet. So obviously, I was into it. But so after the psychic told me that, then I found out that there was such a thing as color analysis, and it came to Canada. So I was in the first training in Canada for color analysis. And because I told everybody, hey, I'm going to do colors, I had my entire first month booked up with clients before I ever took the training. So Once I was doing colors, then of course they went off and told everybody that, hey, you have to get your colors done. So it was strictly word of mouth, because back in those days there was no internet. Mm-hmm. And then I had those people saying, well, can you come now? Can you go through my closet? Because now I need somebody to help me through with the colors. And so then I was doing wardrobe auditing. And then people said, okay, well, you've cleaned out my closet. Now we need to go shopping. So then I was doing personal shopping. And then I was doing color at a trade show, and somebody stopped by and asked if I could tell her what style suited her. And I thought, well, okay, how hard could that be? Sure, why not? So I thought, well, I can figure it out. So she booked an appointment with her friends. And all I did was read those few chapters in the Color Me Beautiful book that talk about style. And I thought, I didn't charge very much, because I thought, well, they could pick up the book themselves for like $11.95, even share the book. So, but I put together, this whole styling program, and and did their styles, and they said it was the best thing they ever had done. And they said they were going to tell all their friends about me, and they worked at Xerox. So now I'm in business doing style as well. And it just kept spreading. And then Seasons, which was the largest color consulting company in Canada, found out what I was doing, and they asked me to become their style and image teacher.
Wow.
So I put together a whole training program, and they sent me across Canada doing their trainings. And then people said, wow, this is incredible. Our lives have changed. They'll never be the same again. And so then they said we need more. So then I put together an advanced training, went across Canada again. And people were also asking me for private training. So I remember one of my, so by this time, obviously it's no longer a part-time hobby that I was doing for fun. It was taking up more time than my full-time job. So I quit my job and just, went into this. And I always felt like I was kind of, attached to a rocket. It was just taking off, my business was going faster, I felt, than I could keep up. So I always was doing things that I wasn't prepared for, but it's just, okay, just jump in and do it. Just go ahead, obviously I guess I was meant to do this because it just kept expanding. So, and it's fun.
Oh, yes. No, I'm so glad you're in this field, and I'm so glad that the psychic helped you along your journey. Some of the skills that you said that you found to be essential as an image consultant was the fact that you never said no. You were willing to jump in with 2 feet, and you were confident enough to know that you would figure it out on the go.
Right. Yeah. So I always committed to doing the very, very, very best job that I could, for who I was at the time and what I was able to do. Because I really didn't, I have a horror of mediocrity, and I really wanted everything that I did to be at the very highest level. And so the feedback I got, what happened with my students, it was just beyond anything I ever thought was possible. And one of the things I realized is that how many of us hold ourselves back from doing what it is that we really could be doing. Remember, I was invited to go to do a training in British Columbia, and one of my students in the class, she was like stunning and dressed incredibly. It's like, wow, did she ever look like an image consultant? And she worked in fashion retail. And she told me, Karen, people at work have been asking me to please to teach them about image and wardrobe. And I said, oh, I'm not qualified. I can't do that. But when I take my training, then I will do the programs. And I'm thinking, but if you're asked, obviously you're qualified. You come from your own experience. So you come from who you are, from your experience. And that might be different from somebody else's.
Right.
So it's all okay, because when people hire us, they're hiring us for our own experience, and they hire somebody else to get that person's experience. And it's not like you're only going to go probably to one person for training anyway. You want to get as much experience as possible. But I know in the beginning, I felt like I understood it, because in the beginning I was a little bit afraid that I was being asked to do things maybe bigger than what I was or what I was capable of. So my degree, back then it was called home economics, and one of the trainings that I went to, one of my students was a teacher of home economics. And I thought, oh my gosh, she has to know at least as much as I do. She probably knows more, because at least she's been teaching in the field, and I haven't been doing that. So I thought, oh, she's going to find out I'm a fraud. I don't know what I'm doing. And she said in the training, she said, oh my gosh, I never imagined it was as big as it. I never knew. She was just amazed at all the things she was learning. So then I thought, well, maybe I really do know something. I don't know.
Maybe I've got this.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, maybe I figured. Well, obviously I figured it out, but like for me, it was all so common sense, and that I felt like a little bit funny charging people and having a business in it, because to me it was just so much fun, and it was so easy, and it just all made so much sense. So it took a while for me to realize that, okay, this is that way for me, but it isn't that way for everybody.
Yeah. Having taken your training myself, I found that, after taking the colors course, the first thing I did was to make sure I was ready, I actually called you and said, so I can start this now? I understand the trepidation in beginning. But, when you take the courses I've taken with you, I'm completely prepared to do anything and everything. I have the knowledge base and the foundation to move forward. Yep. With clients. And I attribute my success now having the confidence to move forward and know that my energy will figure out what needs to happen for each person, and to use that holistic approach, I think, is one of the best things we can do, to also not pre-identify any issues or things that we see, to let the client come forward and in their assessment discuss their issues or their things that they'd like to see improved upon.
Yeah. It's really, listening is a really good skill to have in this business, so that we're not lecturing to our clients or commanding them or telling them. It's more of a journey together and an invitation to, let's explore this, let's see what we create together.
Yes, I completely remember when you said to me, so describe your outfit. So it was, it was the two of us working through something. It wasn't judgmental. It wasn't anything. It was describe your outfit. And it was also to speak with no drama in the voice, just describe your outfit. There's no judgment. And that was such a valuable tool. Would you say that that was one of the things that made the biggest difference in success of your business, was being non-judgmental?
I've certainly had that feedback, that people would feel safe with me because, and I don't judge. So that is very helpful, to the point where I've had people tell me things that, share things with me that they've never ever told anybody else, because I provided that safety and that security, and I would listen, and there would be no judgment. Yeah. So sometimes, working with clients and with my students, that sometimes I feel like a little bit of a therapist, because my role is to listen and be a sounding board, and kind of just check in every now and then. Yeah.
So often when we do listen, the client has all the answers.
Yep.
We just help them navigate to the where the answer is, for them to verbalize it, or to get to that next step.
Right. Kind of shining, exactly, and shining a light on what to look for, so that they can see it. So again, it's not just us telling them, it's shining that light. So it's like, okay, check this out. Look what's happening here. It's like, oh yeah, now I see it. So that they have the power themselves going forward to see for themselves, where we might not be in the closet with them. So it's so that they can see what to look for.
Yes. What was your biggest obstacle? We talk about sometimes biggest obstacles. Sometimes it's our confidence that we know we're ready to go, or just jumping in with 2 feet is not an obstacle. But was there anything other than just jumping in and doing it? Or
I think my biggest obstacle has always been and continues to be me. So it's really, it would be my own limited thinking, my fears, me holding myself back. That's absolutely my biggest obstacle. Sometimes it's taken other people to kind of shake me up and say, Karen, what are you doing? Just, this is what's possible for you. And so sometimes it'd be a little bit scary being open to the next level, to the possibilities, to, what can happen. So that's happened, there's been stages throughout my career where that's happened, where I get to maybe what I think is a ceiling, but it's really a plateau. And then somebody comes along and gives me a boot. It's like, okay, I'll go along. I'll go to the next level then.
No, I understand. Sometimes too, when we're in different situations, what is holding you back is a leading question. And sometimes we need to guide ourselves even to what is really holding you back and explore that. And sometimes people even say, tell me more about that, as they're leading us to the shining light on maybe an issue.
Yeah. It is really fun to see, what's on the other side of that obstacle. One of the things that I've done in my classes, we break boards with our hands, right, in our classes. And so sometimes it'll be where on one side of the board, we've written all our goals and what we want. And the other side is we're writing down our so-called obstacles or what's holding us back. And then we break the board going through the obstacles to reach the goals. So, and the way to break the board, the trick to it is when you look at the board, because physically I might not have the physical strength to break a board with my hand. But if I'm looking at the board, if I see the board, then my hand's not going to go through it. But if when I'm looking at the board and I actually see my hand on the other side of the board and the board doesn't exist, I don't even see the board, then my hand can go through the board. And it's like I don't even feel the board. It's like it wasn't there. So I think with obstacles, I know I might focus on the obstacle and then I forget to say, well, okay, hello, what's on the other side of that obstacle? And focusing on what's on the other side of it as opposed to what's blocking me.
Right. So to know that fear can hold us back, not, or the fear of the unknown, but also to have the faith to look on the other side, to know that there is always, there's speed bumps in life, but we can get through that speed bump because we've done it several times before, and to build that confidence to know that, yes, there is a teaching in this, I will come out on the other side.
Yeah, and sometimes it's a matter of even just thinking big enough. So for example, one time, I had, because I make all the color tools and image tools, and Carol Jackson called me, and Carol Jackson is the one that wrote the book Color Me Beautiful, and she wanted to order the wallets. I'm thinking, oh my gosh, she's calling me for color swatch wallets, and my sister said, well, who else is she supposed to call? It's like, oh yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
So it was like being okay with being at that level where Carol Jackson is ordering her tools from me. And then it turned out that she was sending me when people asked her about training, she was sending them to me. So that was really nice. So that was one of those plateaus where it's like, okay, let's just, be okay with going a little bit beyond my little small, because when I started with everything, I just thought, okay, just keep it small, just me, just, working in my home in this one little tiny space.
Yeah.
But of course now I have a whole team working with me and factories doing all the color tools and everything. So it's and as you mentioned, in over 80 countries. So it's gotten a little bit bigger than I first envisioned.
Yeah, it's really blossomed.
Yeah.
So this is going to be the end of part 1, Karen, and we'll just pick up in a moment and we'll do part 2.
Okay, great.